So there's been this story floating around the internet this week about Mercedes-Benz make a car that can beat Tesla at a very important metric. And I want to talk about it.
All right, this is the Vision EQXX. Didn't it go like 600 miles on a single charge?
Right. And normally if a company does something like this, it's because they put more batteries in it. One. But this is not the case. Mercedes was able to do 620 miles on a 100 kilowatt hour pack, the same as a Model S.
And just to be clear, a new Model S has a range of 405 miles.
Right. Now that's EPA's estimate. You can get more or less depending on how you drive.
So did they drive this slowly? Because remember that company Next Move in Germany? They got over 700 miles out of a bog standard Model S by traveling at like 23 miles an hour.
According to Mercedes, they got up to 87 miles an hour. And if you read a little deeper in their press release, their average speed was 54 miles an hour, which is
slow, but not super slow for an average speed.
Right. So it's not fake numbers.
Okay, so then how did they do it?
Well, this is where I think some people tend to miss the point. Mercedes did a lot of work to get the car this efficient. First of all, it's smaller than a Model S. So it has a frontal area of 2.12 square meters. Compare that to a Model S that has 2.34 square meters. So it has to move about 10% less air out of the way. It also has a more slippery body. Its coefficient of drag is a very impressive 0.17.
Whoa.
Compared to a Model S's 0.24.
Wow.
This is a 30% decrease.
Wow.
Now, one way that they accomplish this is by pulling the back tires in by 2 inches. They also put very flat wheel covers on there and making the whole car, smaller and tighter. And then there's the tires. And they did a great job of hiding this in their marketing material. They're 185/65 R20s.
What does that mean again?
That is pretty narrow. So 185 means 185 millimeters, and that's the width of the tire. So that's about 7 inches.
Oh.
So for some context, a Model S tire is 245 or 265 in the front. You can get different ones. And 275 to even 295 in the back, especially if they're staggered. And that is 10, close to 12 inches wide.
Wow. And I mean, there's a reason for that.
Oh yeah, you can't do 0 to 60 times like a Model S without wide tires. And also in control and safety wise, wide tires means more rubber on the road.
But it uses more energy to have wide tires.
Exactly. So you make all 4 tires narrower. You save about 280 millimeters between all 4 of them. And that's about 30% decrease in the amount of rubber on the road.
That's like one less tire.
Yeah, that's similar to taking an entire tire off of a Tesla Model S and using that rubber on the road to try and drive around.
Whoa, I didn't think of it like that.
And those tires that they have on there are the most eco things they can find. Turanza Ecos, which I can't seem to find anywhere.
So that means expensive.
Yeah, I mean, it's experimental stuff, which is totally fine for a concept car.
Well, but they must have had some other tech that really...
It had a lighter battery. Again, not cheap. The whole car was only 3,869 pounds, almost 700 pounds lighter than a Model S, or 15% lighter.
Wow, so this is like a Model S on a diet.
Yeah, and it only has 180 kilowatts of power. For context, my Model 3 has nearly double that. A Model S long range has over 500 kilowatts, and a Plaid has 760 kilowatts of power, or over 1,000 horsepower.
Oh, so I mean, this probably means we don't know how fast it accelerated on these trips. And so if it had slower acceleration, that's a lot less juice.
Exactly. Now, let me be clear. I have nothing against Mercedes for making this interesting and valuable example of how to make an extremely efficient car. What I do have trouble with is dumb people who think that this car is affordable, practical, or in any way a threat to Tesla. I mean, this is stacking a bunch of engineering trade-offs that make the car less usable. You put them all together, package it into what is essentially a PR stunt.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, it's a concept vehicle. We don't know the price. We don't know how usable this car is.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to say, it's a Tesla killer, when indeed it is not.
We don't, exactly. And so everyone's saying like, oh, all the technology in this car is going to trickle down into all of Mercedes-Benz's other things. First of all, 600 miles of range isn't something that anybody needs.
No.
We've already seen that people will buy a car with around 200 miles of range and be pretty happy with it.
It is such a common problem that I get from people. I've been driving around the Rivian and people are like, what's the range? I'm like, about 300 miles. And they're like, yeah, I need more than that. And I'm like, well, but every morning you leave your driveway with the 300 miles of range. So are you driving to another city every day?
Right. And people are like, oh, And it's like, so you don't even know, but you just
blurted that out.
Right.
Exactly.
And so I think that they're taking advantage of this. Well, if we can just get the range to some ridiculous level, then everyone's going to think that it's great. And it is great. The efficiency of this is awesome. And maybe some of this tech is going to make it into the cars, but are they really going to make a car with this many engineering trade-offs?
It's like saying, I would buy a Toyota Corolla, but I need more acceleration. And it's like, okay, so you want a Bugatti? Like what?
Exactly.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for watching Now You Know Clips.
You can watch full episodes of Tesla Time News on Tuesdays and in-depths on Fridays. Just click the link down below and head over to the Now You Know channel.